Okay, hello, I'm Ann DeSantis. I'm with the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. I have with me on the end Father Matthew Phelan. He's a friar with the Mercedarian Religious Order. He's also the spiritual moderator for the foundation. Also, our guest is Father Sean Bransfield. He's the Vice Chancellor with the Archdiocese of Philadelphia.
And Father Bransfield is with us this evening to answer our questions regarding marriage and divorce and nullity and canon law. Well, Sheila, I'll get to your question in a moment. I guess kind of as a follow-up for that, I guess a question I would say is, what would happen? I've got a friend who's getting married, and then I fear that maybe I know church law or whatever. I think there might be an impediment, and I'm concerned about it. But I don't want to mess things up. What would a Catholic have as a responsibility when somebody else is getting married? Do they have a responsibility to maybe, like morally at least, to maybe say, hey, there might be an impediment here to the marriage?
Well, I think the best answer is, if there were a concern, is to tell the people who are getting married to just, be open and honest with the priest or the deacon who's preparing them for marriage. Okay. And as part of the normal marriage preparation, there are a series of questions that are asked. And some of those questions are geared towards determining whether any impediments may exist. And then if those impediments are found to perhaps exist, then the priest or deacon will work with the couple. And if the priest or deacon needs a little more guidance, usually they'll call like the chancery. Okay. So I would just encourage it in general just to be open and honest.
Good advice.
Father Bransfield and I studied in the seminary together. I just remember that the first day that you put the phone number of the chancery. That's the most important for non-canon law people like myself. Call the chancery. Call the chancery.
And we're there to help.
To know that number. So, but Sheila, hi Sheila. Sheila's one of our Third Order members down in Atlanta. And she asked, so what happens when the bride is Jewish and the groom is Catholic? The marriage is blessed by a rabbi. Is that marriage recognized by the church for the one that is Catholic?
Well, again, when a marriage takes place between a Catholic, and I'll just keep it more broad terms, a Catholic and a non-Christian, that marriage, again, and it even sometimes a Catholic marrying a baptized non-Catholic, those marriages can, that's what we're talking about, dispensation from canonical form. So it can be arranged that that marriage can be done in such a way in front of a non-Catholic minister, so that it can be considered a valid marriage. But again, I'm speaking in generalities, but basically in those instances, it's most important to go to your priest or your deacon or your, who's ever working in your parish. But yes, in general, those are again, depending on the circumstances, but in general, those are exactly the types of situations that can possibly be where dispensation from canonical form is possible. Yeah.
Okay. Good question. Yes. So you have anything else from Facebook, or should we go on to some of the questions that I have here?
Yeah, there's one that I see, but I think it's gonna relate to one of our later topics. So
okay.
I'm gonna bring that back. Okay. All right.
Okay. Now this one's a hypothetical.
Okay.
Someone stopped going to church at a very young age. They were married and divorced twice, and then entered into a third marriage. They go through a conversion back to Christ. They want to set things right. What do they do?
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I obviously it's a hypothetical and it's a general question, but that really is kind of the work of the tribunal. And I realize it's a good question, but usually there are specific circumstances to, when you would say someone was married previously twice, and it would be important to know, which and for our purposes right now it's a hypothetical, but it would be important to know, was one or both persons Catholic at the time of the marriage? All those questions, I guess what I'm leading towards is if someone did have an experience and a conversion back to Christ and they wanted to have their marital situation regularized in the church, they would go to their priest or their deacon, or the person in their parish, and the priest or deacon should start to ask specific questions, to them, in confidence, but in a way that's saying, I'll take these answers and I'll speak to those in the chancery, the tribunal, I'll ask these questions so that we can figure out together what specifically is needed. But usually with canon law, it really depends. It depends on the specifics of the case, and sometimes there are specific questions that need to be asked. But once that information is gathered and we know the specific circumstances, then we can say, okay, this is what we need to do. So, and usually sometimes it's a step-by-step case. Sometimes it's more simple. Sometimes it might require a few steps. Again, it's going to depend on the specifics. But I would say in general, just go. I would say if someone in that said, "Here, this is my story. This is my life situation. This is what has happened," and from listening to that, then the deacon or priest or whomever can start to ask some more nuanced questions, some more specific questions, and then eventually we can help this person realize what exactly needs to be done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know that was a hypothetical.
Right. No, but it's good.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was just one of my questions here.
Yeah. And let's skip the next one. But I guess this was a question that somebody had asked me a while back. When let's say somebody does want to have a process of investigation done and ever, would they begin in the place of their domicile, like where they live, or let's say they were married in another country or in another diocese, would they go first to where they were married? Right.
No, the current norms and so someone can begin the process in the diocese in which they currently live.
Oh, okay.
So they could go back to the diocese where the wedding took place, but practically speaking, oftentimes it's easier for people to approach the diocese in which they live. And I will say, depending on what diocese, I would always say you go to your tribunal, but first start with your parish priest, your parish deacon, whoever it is that you're working with, and they will direct you, because sometimes in dioceses, the parish level may be more involved at first, but whereas in other dioceses, the tribunal may become more directly involved right away. But I would always say start at your parish level. I think in general I would say that.